Anim, amin, anim, amin, anim, amin.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Maddie Rimby, and I'm here with Jocelyn Cullen and Big Roger Shakran, who is off screen, and Luke Samara here to represent Art Against Atrocities. Thank you so much for joining us today to appreciate and reflect upon the amazing art pieces submitted to this year's competition. We hope that viewing these pieces will inspire you to reflect upon past atrocities and give you hope for the future. While we're going through these pieces, make sure to keep track of which ones you like because we're going to be voting for a fan favorite at the end. Now, Art Against Atrocities came to be in 2020 at Montour High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. With the support of the Together We Remember Coalition's Youth Action Network and the Light Education Initiative, we launched our first ever virtual art competition during Genocide Awareness Month in April of 2020. What started off as an English assignment blossomed into a global project uniting students, educators, and other allies after just 1 year. For 2021, we expanded our competition and entries from all across the world came in. Through this project, we're working to unite youth through art and raise awareness of identity-based violence. We believe that art has the ability to capture countless intense emotions that cannot come from any other source. Art is the backbone of change, and as youth, it is vital for us to be engaged in our communities through it. We must reflect on the past and learn from it. We must advocate for the voices that were not heard. We must make never again a reality. Today, you will be hearing from a panel of artist activists, along with youth who are actively creating art to improve the world around them. We hope you enjoy what we have planned for you today. All right, to kick us off, I'll be taking you guys through the top entries submitted for our 12 to 15 age category. All right, first we have this amazing piece by Anna Pang. She believes that we don't need violence to target people who are different from us. We're all human beings, and it's beyond frustrating to see how others treat people of color. Black lives matter, and it does not need to be said twice. Next piece we have for you is a sculpture by Mackenzie Frederick. It depicts Lale Soklov's job as the tattooist in Auschwitz during the Holocaust, which we know as one of the weakest points in history. His altruistic actions consisting of offering words of encouragement when they were forbidden to speak and giving up his rations to the hungriest ones helped others survive. His selflessness saved lives. Finally, we have the winner of the 12 to 15 age category. This is a poem written by Sophia Pentia, and in her poem titled Again and Again, Sophia wanted to capture the idea of genocides and other atrocities occurring repeatedly throughout history. After the Holocaust, we made the promise of never again, yet 70 years later, we're watching the Uyghur genocide take place right before our eyes. Through the poem, Sophia plays with the idea of never again happening again and again, in hopes of inspiring listeners to take action and ensure that again and again can become one day never again. And we're going to watch the video of her poem.
Through history, we learn that stories adjourn. We see in a single lifespan, man will kill man with a mere dagger in hand. Blood will seep into ancient soil, and survivors will weep in toil. At first, it was only a few, until it became you. 44,000 camps filled with tanks ready to kill all who break ranks. Auschwitz alone, 1 million lost souls, chambers of gas, forced to cut brass, building cars while locked behind bars. Then history turns the page. We entered a new age, holding a silence to commemorate the violence, pushing away the blood that blisters and whisper, never again. Again and again, years of violence left in silence. Then 2017 came, the world remained the same, 1.5 million shipped away. Re-education, a capitalistic cape to cover up the rape. A simple shirt made not without hurt, isolated in a dry landscape with no hope of escape. Run away, the lucky ones become refugees, perceptually free, no money, home, or family, just never-ending calamity. By choice, yet dragged away with no voice. Feet chained to the ground, guards that surround, addressed as nothing profound. Trapped between prison walls, permitted no outside calls. Against modern slavery, no longer a line of bravery when its meaning becomes a wavery. Free and done hardly ever means freedom. We promise never again, again and again, yet the blood that stains our hands soaks deep, and as long as we lay at night unbothered in sleep, future generations will be left to weep. If we let ourselves forget, we will regret. We must fight when a day goes by and a man is locked away from the blue sky. We must create an outcry and open our eyes and ask why. Then fight until our throats run dry. Only then can again and again become never again.
Thank you for listening to that. It was a wonderful poem. Next up, we have our first panelist, Jocelyn Collins, sitting with me. She's a youth fellow for Together We Remember and also one of the founding members of our group, Art Against Atrocities. Without Jocelyn, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be speaking with you today, and she really got us where we are now. Hey, Joss, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so how do you think art has the ability to make change in the world?
I would say that art has the ability to make change in the world because of its diversity of forms. And in creating Art Against Atrocities, that was something I really wanted to portray. Artful expression can come through words or paint or a pencil, a camera, clay, or an instrument. Personally, I am most comfortable with painting and drawing. And from my experience, art is so powerful because of the emotions you can express through imagery. Especially when talking about the intense emotions of identity-based violence, sometimes the scenes artists want to portray surpass words. For instance, last year I made this chalk art piece and I drew it on the road in front of my house. No, I did not get run over, although I did need to have my sister standing nearby to make sure that no cars are coming. As you can see in this piece is a blown out candle on the right-hand side. And from the smoke of said candle is a personified skeleton hand holding a proportionally smaller man, holding a megaphone, shouting Elie Wiesel's quote, "For the dead and living, we must bear witness." Intentionally, I wrote these words wispy and faded, representing the lost voices that screamed but still went unheard, blowing like smoke away with the wind. And the skeleton hand was representing death. As you can see, this is very dark imagery, and it's incredibly hard to describe in words. Therefore, I used my art as my outlet to speak. Using art in this way allows language, this awareness to transcend culture and language. You don't need to translate art into language. You look at it and you interpret it. And I think it's so powerful in this way, which is why I believe that it can change the world. Thanks, Joss. That piece is amazing. Thank you.
Next up is our 16 through 18 age bracket, where we received our most submissions. So first up in this category is this oil painting by Yuji Yang. Yuji's intention behind this piece is to remember those that lost their lives during the Holocaust. Her artwork is inspired by a photograph of caged cats being smuggled into Vietnam, as she found it reminiscent of those who were sent to concentration camps by train. The eyes of the figures showcase the different emotions associated with victims of genocide: hope, desperation, confusion. Yet all the eyes remain fixed on one central location, which Yuji says indicates the despair they feel as they're taken from their homeland. This next piece by Abby Clausen is titled "In a World of Darkness, Be the Light." The dark background symbolizes the world around us, how prejudices against certain groups have always existed and always will exist. The small flashes of color represent the hope within the darkness, those who choose to be the light. As Abby says in her artist statement, sometimes the best we can do is to recognize the hardships that people face every day and to see each other as what we truly are: human. As we all understand, 2020 was a year marred by social unrest and horrific violence. One example of this was the killing of George Floyd and the protest against police brutality that followed his murder. This piece is Raleigh Riddell's unique artistic take on one such protest. Raleigh manipulated photographs from a protest to showcase the racial tensions that exploded this summer. The images have been abstracted, turning the individuals depicted into hazy figures that serve as visual stand-ins for societal issues. Moving on, this emotional submission from Seattle, Washington. Here to explain his work via video is our 16 through 18 age bracket winner, Devin Benaroya, who happens to be part of our audience today. Congratulations, Devin.
I was just going to read my artist statement to make it feel a little bit more personal, but I think that there's a lot more to be said about my art and where it came from and where the inspiration came from for me. This was not just like a project or art piece that I did and looked up a reference of a person feeling an emotion or a face. I've seen these people before, not necessarily the people that I drew, but I know the emotions and the feelings very well from having attended and protested at Black Lives Matter marches of the summer during the summer of 2020. When I was at those marches, I felt more emotion in the air, just radiating off of all of these passionate people that I have ever felt in my entire life. I've never been exposed to such levels of hurt and pain, but I've also never been exposed to such profound resilience and pride and such a widespread sense of justice. And I wanted to express that feeling visually so that everybody can be aware and be acquainted with the power that can come from pain. And everybody deserves to know that.
Next up is Michaela A. of Miami, Florida, who explores the hardships of reconciling her sexuality with her upbringing through a short film. Michaela discusses how she discovered and defined her identity and says that the moral of her story is that everyone needs support, whether it's through physical affection, words of affirmation, or expressions of gratitude. Her aim of this film is to share her story with others and have it be an open letter of support to anyone who needs it. Unfortunately, we can't play Michaela's film due to copyright restrictions, but a link should be sent to the chat shortly. We encourage you to watch Letters of Support whenever you have a chance. And here to discuss our final piece in the 16 through 18 age bracket is the artist himself. Together we remember fellow Alex Fan.
Hello, my name's Alex Fan. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm from Bakersfield, California, land of the Tohono tribe. So a large part of Never Again is to uplift the stories of survivors. And we remember their stories so that we can ensure we can continue to fight to end identity-based violence and reach the goal of never again. And I believe that using survivor testimony for education is the most powerful tool we can use in our communities. I knew in creating my piece that I had to highlight the voice of a survivor in order to make my piece impactful. And I wanted to create a piece that was unique to my skill set and my abilities. And so I've been a dancer for near 8 years, and I use dance to constantly express myself and communicate my emotion to others. So my idea was to use dance to celebrate and remember a survivor. But I wanted to distinctly separate myself, someone who is honoring a victim, and the actual survivor, so I can make sure to highlight their story and testimony, because I will never understand the pain of being a Holocaust survivor, let alone Kurt Metterschmidt, who my piece centers around. But the least I can do is use my abilities to celebrate their life as a remembrance of why we fight to end genocide.
Thank you. We'll now be playing Alex's piece himself, or we'll now be playing Alex's piece.
I believe with complete faith.
What is your name, please?
Kurt Messerschmidt.
And when is your birth date?
January 2nd, 1915. At times at camp, I know I forced myself to ignore the reality around me and slipped temporarily into a dream world almost. Was alone with God and myself. That's where I experienced and appreciated the value of faith and God the strongest. I could keep in touch via my inner self, call it God, and not give up ever. And thinking back all through these years, it was a one-way, one-track mind of mine. I have to survive this. Every hardship I experienced enforced that will to survive so strongly. And I was able to carry this through to the very end. And it was faith. So these are the things that helped me survive. And we sang at the camp. And I was able to move minds and hearts. This was a God-given gift. Faith is something that's expressed in this song about faith. I believe with complete faith in the coming of the Messiah. And though he tarry, still shall I believe and await his coming. Amin, amin, anim, amin, anim, amin, anim, amin. I believe with complete faith.
An excellent and moving performance from Alex Fan. Moving on is our second panel question of the afternoon to Mr. Nick Haberman, a teacher of Holocaust Studies at Shaler High School and the founder of the Light Education Initiative.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Haberman. Could you please tell us about Light?
Light was created to incentivize Holocaust, genocide, and human rights education, remembrance, and advocacy. And what we seek to do is inspire and prepare and empower students like you to be able to change the world. And we connect students to organizations like Together We Remember, and we help to embed this type of work in school districts so that it's not a one and done, but it's part of the fabric of the school district and the school system.
Thank you so much for your tireless work for this cause. What opportunities do you see for young artists to influence change in the world?
Young artists have the power to influence change mainly by educating people in their homes and their schools and their communities about incidents of past and present identity-based violence and discrimination, thus acting as the spark, as David always talks about, for further action. Throughout history, tremendous amounts of violence has been sparked by ignorance. Young people like you have the power, the technology, the network, the time, the energy to spark change through education, because education is the greatest weapon against ignorance. Thus, education, especially through art like we see here today, is the greatest weapon against contemporary human rights violations and genocides.
A follow-up question to that, how impactful do you think that the student voice is?
I would argue your voices are the most important and the most impactful. And through education, you have been taught to be incredibly innovative. You've been taught how to solve problems creatively. You've been taught in your classes how to build, how to create, how to use the newest technology, and using these skills to create any kind of art in the spirit of remembrance can truly change the world. And if you look at the impact of art throughout history and the power of student voice to counter identity-based violence and discrimination, students like you have always been part of successful social and racial justice movements, and students are absolutely essential to the success of those movements in the future.
Thank you very much for coming today and your answers, and best of luck with Light's future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Ambika Rajashekaran. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. I will be guiding us through the last of our entries. This is our oldest age group, ranging from ages 18 to 22, so mostly college-age students who are all clearly very talented. We are lucky enough to have someone here to personally present their art and some exciting global entries to look forward to. This first piece is by Harsha Sankaran, age 18. Harsha is a Together We Remember student director and currently attends the University of Texas at Dallas. We will now play a recording of her explaining her piece.
Hi, my name is Harsha Sankaran, and my piece represents the seed of memory and selflessness that we will plant. The tree is a bit broken in places, but that doesn't stop the light from flooding through, resilient as humanity is. The candles are different, some big, some small, but the light is just as bright. The bottom text says, Paropakaraya idam shariram, which means for others verily is this body. The spirit of selflessness is what I hope to nurture in my own fight to make never again a reality.
That was a beautiful piece. And now I am happy to present the winner for the 18 to 22 age group, Reese Allison. Congrats. This is a digital art piece made by Reese. Reese is a 21-year-old Together We Remember fellow who attends George Mason University in Virginia. I will now pass it on to Reese, who is on the Zoom, and let them explain their piece.
Hi, thank you so much, and thank you for all that you all do. So, yeah. So, hi, I'm Reese, they, them pronouns. So, I'm a trans artist and I'm disabled. And recently I've had a lot of health issues that really made it hard for me to cope. And part of this piece was just trying to cope with my own health and I guess the health of society as well. Trans people, especially trans women of color, experience violence on a daily basis. And each year sees more murders of trans people than the last. As a trans person myself, I am painfully aware of this. After years, I barely have the energy to be angry. I'm just exhausted. I don't want to be, and I never want to see my fellow trans people reach this point, even though I know so many of us have been here for so long. And as a result, I want to do something positive for my community by uplifting stories and images of trans people being powerful, of trans people existing and being visible. Seeing trans stories that do not end in tragedy, being able to celebrate our transness and find joy in it. That is healing. That is how we cope, how I cope, and I want to help provide that for others. This artwork, therefore, is a collection of some of the portraits of trans figures that I've done. I have a bunch more that I've also done. They're available on my Instagram at transandpowerful. To explain my piece and who these figures are, in the top left, so the top row, left to right, all the in descending order. Alak Manan, Sacris Capilla, Weihua, Pigeon Pagonis. The second row, Joanna Hedva, Titica, Victoria Rovira Hernandez, and Miss Major Griffin Gracie. Third row, Andrea Gibson, Mars Wright, Akweyeki Emezi, and Mariam Khatun Wolkara. In the bottom row, Dr. S.A. Smith, Ian Alexander, Diane Marie Rodriguez Zambrano, and Dua Saleh. Thank you all so much. And I am honored to have been selected, and I am honored to have gotten the chance to participate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Reese. That was really moving and personal.
And Bika, just really quick, as you start to talk about the Iraq entries, we actually received a video just a little while ago, and we're gonna play it when it's time. So just let us know when there's a good time, and we'll be able to play one of the art submissions.
Okay, fantastic. We are very honored to present the next two lovely pieces, which were submissions sent to us from the Nineveh Governorate in Iraq. We received a total of 23 submissions ranging from ages 12 to 21. This area was the site of a genocide perpetrated by ISIS insurgents against the Yazidi people. The Yazidi people are an ethno-religious group native to northern Iraq. This atrocity resulted in roughly 5,000 deaths and 500,000 displacements. We would also like to thank Yahad and Noonan for making this possible. You can play the video now.
That's the wrong video, Logan.
جنازة كوجو هذه مش بغداية من أبديت سات هي لفزوني أسبيت فكري ما مسامة دوري مش هاقلقة وقر أبرسم عندن باخد داك إذا جاب المالو يدوي همو مرينا تشتكي وينا ما تشوفني جا هذا فكري ما تبشيره.
My name is Hazem Shahab. I am 14 years old. I am a Yazidi boy from Sinjar. I draw this picture, or this painting actually, of a Yazidi woman walking across the graveyards, or we can say the graves of her relatives. As you can see, he has named brother, husband, son-in-law, relative, aunt, sister-in-law, cousin, grandson, neighbor, uncle's wife, friends, baby, sister, son, daughter. So when I came to the painting course with Miss Khane, it crossed my mind, especially when the burial of Kocho village took place and I saw it on TV. So this crossed my mind and I wanted to draw this painting.
Wow, that was amazing. The art he showed was beautiful and really touching. This is an entry submitted by 19-year-old Abitsam Yusuf Qatar in order to share their unique story as a young survivor who came face to face with the modern genocide. This painting is by Rania Soleiman Shama, age 21. This piece was made by one young Yazidi survivor telling one part of her story. Because a genocide of today cannot only be an object of memory, cannot only be seen in museums, it must be stopped because there are still people waiting to be healed. All right, and now for the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time for the fan favorite. You can all participate in the live voting by either scanning the QR code or going to the website menti.com and putting in the code at the bottom of the screen. Vote for the art piece of your choice that matches with the numbers on the slide. So for example, if you wanted to vote for Abby's piece, you would choose number 11. And the image right here should show up on the website. The winner of the fan favorite will receive a cash prize of $25. We will now move on to our next panelist and announce the fan favorite actor. I am very excited to announce our next panelist, Mirsada Kadirik. Ms. Mirsada is a Bosnian genocide survivor who fled to America at only 16 years old. She is a talented poet and author. Her book, I Am a Refugee, Finding Home Again in America, is about her own experience and story as a refugee. Ms. Mirsada, thank you so much for joining us today. We are incredibly grateful. Our question
I'm honored
for
to
you
be
is,
here with you.
Thank you so much. Our question for you is, how has your experience as a refugee shaped how you view the world, especially in terms of art?
Yes, and what a beautiful question. And thank you for having me here today. I will say, seeing the world through the eyes of a refugee, I have come to accept that anyone, literally anyone, can become a refugee and overnight. And that is never due to any fault of your own. The situation in any given society, like Rwanda or my birth country of Bosnia, and what we're seeing unfolding in Myanmar today, for example, just to name a few, the situation simply gets to a boiling point, to the point of no return, and to the point of no control on your part. The only choice you are really left with is what our primal inborn instinct is to begin with, which is fight or flight. And all of the time, you are really faced with a situation in that the other party is literally out-armed. So really, the only choice you have as a refugee is to flee. Flee to save your life. Something I'm confident anyone would do if faced with the same exact situation. And as today's art pieces have so beautifully alluded to it, unfortunately, the tragic history of atrocities and as a result, refugees all over the world has repeated itself over and over and over again. So I see art as a form of healing for everyone, starting with the artist to anyone else who may come in touch with whatever that art form they create. Speaking as an aspiring artist myself, I use the form of writing to help me heal and continue to process all of the horrible things that I see unfolding in our society on a daily basis. I wrote my memoir, I Am a Refugee Finding Home Again in America, to help others understand what it means to be a refugee and why anyone would want to leave their country of birth or the comforts of their own home. Today, I will read one of my poems that I write in the moment as a way to process whatever may be the headline of the day or that week. So this particular piece I wrote July 6, 2016. So if we were to do a Google News search for that date, I'm certain we would find whatever horrible headline prompted me to write it in the first place. Luckily, my memory of the headline is gone, in part because writing about my emotions that particular day helped me to heal. I titled the poem, My World is Your World. My world is your world. This world is plenty big for all of us to share, and isolationism will never work for anyone. No one place in this world has everything it needs to sustain itself. That's why the world is round. It has no beginning or end. We are all in the midst of it. I need you just as much as you need me. We need each other to survive and to thrive. So it boggles my mind when we treat life so carelessly. Once a life is gone, it's gone forever. And we all have someone in our lives we wish we could bring back, to touch them, hug them, kiss them, to hear them speak once again, exchange stories with them, and laugh with them. So why can't we cherish life as the most precious thing given to us? Without life, nothing else would be possible. The things we own, the accolades, and even the good memories made. So let's remind ourselves of the preciousness of life, of the similarities between us, and the one place we all have in common, this world of ours. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. It was beautifully said.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, thank you all so much for coming. We sincerely hope that you enjoyed our exhibition and that you leave today inspired by the creativity and dedication of the young artist activists who submitted their pieces. Ambika, are we going to announce the
We'll give them more time.
All right. In this moment, I can't help but to be reminded of the words of Frida Kahlo. Frida said, "I paint flowers so that they will not die." Kahlo's words highlight the inherent nature of art to capture and preserve life and emotion. The goal of art is to put a spotlight on culture and history and the individual. The goal of identity-based violence and discrimination, it's to eliminate those very things. By providing a haven for art, we do our part in the fight against hate and encourage you to join us. Please spread the word about our organization or consider donating to us. To do so, access the donation portal at www.togetherweremember.org. That's www.togetherweremember.org, and include Art Against Atrocities in the memo line. Our student team would love to give a huge thank you to Miss O'Shea, whose support has made this program possible. We'd also like to thank David and Keel for organizing this incredible vigil. Another huge thanks to all the contestants who submitted their works today, and as well as our panelists and our judges. We really appreciate your participation and your dedication. And once again, thanks to you, our audience. We hope to see you all again next year. And now, Ambika, I believe it's time for the fan favorite.
Yes, it is time to present the fan favorite. The winner of the contest was number 13, who is Alex Fan. Congratulations.
Great work, Alex. To end our hour, we're honored to present a dance performance made in remembrance of the Rwandan genocide. And we're extremely lucky to have Bashir Karenzi, the founder of Mind Leaps, and one of his students here today to tell you all about his wonderful dance group.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
my name is Karens Bashir. I'm here with Cyprien. I'm Rwandan. We are joining you from Rwanda, Kigali. I'm the program director of Mind Leaps. Mind Leaps is a non-profit organization that uses dance to improve and empower the most vulnerable youth in Africa and the Balkans. As you may all know, here in Rwanda, we started the 100 days commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi on 7th. And we and the performing group, the Cyprien's group, they've created a movement, stories they put together, especially during this time. But particularly, Cyprien was born in the generation that we call the generation that was born in the period of light. So the old generation is the period of dark. So they have that, it's their responsibility to hold that light, to make sure that genocide never happen again in the world. Please, I would like to welcome Cyprien and share with you the story in the movement. Please, Cyprien.
Hello, everyone. My name is Radukunda Cyprien. I am 16 years old. Nkaba ngiye kubasangiza ku nkuru yanjye nakoze muri choreography.
He's going to share with you the story in the movement.
Akaba ari umwana wavutse bamubwira ko iwabo bishwe muri genocide.
It's about this young child that was born during the genocide and was told that their parents was killed.
Bakaba baramubwiye ko ababyeyi mama we na papa we bishwe batemaguye.
So in the story, it said that the parents were murdered.
Umwana nta cyizere yifitiye namba.
At the first part, so the kid is really hopeless.
Yumva ko nta kujya ku ishuri, nta gutera imbere, nta cyizere na kimwe yifitiye.
No hope, no future, no school.
Yes. Ikindi ni uko umwana ntago yumva ko yateye imbere nk'abandi bana, aba yumva ko ari we wasigajwe inyuma n'amateka.
So that kid, I think that he left behind with the whole thing.
Umwana bitewe nyine n'ubuyobozi buriho muri iki gihe.
Then because of the change and the good leadership these days.
Ubu afite umuryango umwadopta.
In the second part, he's in the hosting family.
Ubu none hasigaye ajya ku ishuri ariko bya bindi biracyamurimo.
He's going to school but still remembers.
Ariko uko agenda aganira n'abandi bana bamushyiramo icyizere.
As he connect with others, and so his peer keeps on the hopes up.
Bya bintu agenda abyibagirwa.
Then he keeps on like moving forward.
Noneho agatangira kugira icyerekezo gishya no kugira imbere heza.
And have the new direction and a better future.
Yes. Umwana aza gutera imbere, akazamura urwego rwe ku manota akaba uwa mbere, ibintu byose ku buryo ibyo bintu ahita abyibagirwa.
So in the last part, there is hope in that child with a bright future, finish the studies.
Irangira abaye ibyo bintu abyibagiwe abaye mushya.
And then he renew himself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cyprien. Now I would like to share with you this story as we keep on remembering. Thank you so much for sharing your piece, Bashir and Cyprian. Your dancers were so incredibly talented, and we're all in awe here, as I'm sure you are. Thank you so much.